I've been wondering for years why the Trump cult attracts the cruelest people in the country. So I decided to do some research on dark personality psychology to understand what's actually going on here. He mocked a disabled reporter live on TV and the cult loved it. He calls for violence at his rallies and his followers cheered for it. Federal agents attacked nonviolent people in the streets and his base defended it and said they should have just complied. This isn't a political movement. This is a cult enjoying this suffering. In 2013, researchers at the University of British Columbia identified a specific cluster of dark personality traits that explains exactly who gets drawn to a hateful movement like this. They called it the dark Tetrad. 4 dark psychological profiles that love to watch people suffer. And when you map these 4 traits onto the Trump cult, everything that looked insane starts to make sense. Trump didn't accidentally attract these people. He built something specifically designed for these people. Here are the 4 dark psychological traits that make up the Trump cult. 1. Narcissism. Trump supporters see themselves in Trump. He says what they think. He hates who they hate. He fights the people they've always wanted to see humiliated. So when you tell his followers that he's a liar, they don't hear facts. They hear an attack on themselves. Psychologist Otto Kernberg at Cornell University spent decades studying why certain people can never admit they are wrong. He called it narcissism. Narcissism is the belief that you're better than everyone else, built on a lifetime of feeling insecure. The majority of narcissists were created by authoritarian parenting and abusive households. A home where being wrong was punished, where showing weakness was dangerous, where the only safe move was to comply, perform, and never question the person in charge. That defense system does not turn off when they grow up. It just finds a new authority figure to organize itself under. The narcissistic brain doesn't process criticism the way a normal brain does. Criticism isn't information. It's an attack on their entire identity. The brain registers criticism the same way it registers physical danger. Narcissists do not self-reflect. They retaliate. And the longer they stay in the cult, the more they have to lose. Admitting Trump as a fraud means admitting they destroyed relationships and wasted years for nothing. The brain will do anything to avoid that pain. They destroy every relationship in their life, defending a man who doesn't even know their name. And never will. Trump knows exactly who these people are. He just put up a 22-foot gold statue of himself at a Miami golf club. He's putting his face on the U.S. passport. He's building a 250-foot gold arch in Washington, D.C. He's not governing the country. He's performing for the people who need someone to worship. He didn't create their narcissism. He just knew exactly how to feed it. And once a narcissist decides you are the enemy, they will burn everything down before they admit they were wrong. No, Machiavellianism. Trump lies constantly and openly. His supporters know this, and they love him more for it. Because to them, lying isn't a character flaw. It's proof that he's smarter than everyone else who's trying to stop him. In 1970, psychologist Richard Christie and Florence Geis at Columbia University identified a personality type built entirely around manipulation and power. They called it Machiavellianism. The belief that the world is a game of power, and the only real morality is winning that game at all cost. Machiavellian fathers create Machiavellian children. Homes filled with harsh punishment, emotionally cold parenting, and early exposure to manipulation. When a child grows up where trust is weakness, and power's the only currency that matters, the brain adapts. It learns the world is a game, and the only way to survive is to play it better than everyone else, no matter who it hurts. People wired this way don't see manipulation as wrong. They see it as intelligence. They see honesty as weakness. Facts don't fit the game they're playing. Power does. And in the game, the only move that matters is loyalty to whoever is winning. So they don't question him. And Trump makes them feel like loyalty is power. He calls them patriots. He said they figured out what everyone else is too weak to admit. That feeling of being on the inside is exactly how the manipulation works. You can't see the con when you think you're in on the con. When you believe everyone is playing an angle. You can never trust anyone. Not your friends, not your family, not even the man you gave your vote to. These people will spend their entire lives being manipulated by the one person they thought they finally understood. He took their money through fake foundations and worthless degrees. He called them the forgotten Americans. and then forgot about them the second the rally was over. They gave him their vote. He gave their tax cuts to billionaires, their healthcare to lobbyists, and their jobs to the same system he promised to destroy. 3. Psychopathy. His supporters see the same news everyone else sees. They hear the same stories. They watch the same footage. And they don't care. They feel nothing. Psychologist Robert Tetrad, the University of British Columbia, spent decades studying people who felt nothing for other people. He called it psychopathy, the complete absence of empathy for anyone outside their group. Children who experience severe neglect, abuse, or chaos early in life show the same neurological abnormalities as an adult diagnosed with psychopathy. Their empathy doesn't disappear. It gets deactivated as a survival mechanism. In a normal brain, when you see someone suffering, a signal fires. It's automatic, and it's involuntary. That signal is what makes cruelty feel wrong. In a psychopath brain, the signal is absent. Other people's pain produces no internal response. So there's nothing to overcome. Nothing to rationalize. The suffering of strangers is simply neutral information to them. What fills the void in these people is dominance. The psychopathic brain does not ask who is right. It asks who is winning. And whoever's winning gets their total loyalty. No questions, and no guilt. That's why a psychopath can watch a child get taken from its mother at the border and call it a deterrent. Trump tries to act like the most powerful person in the room every single day. And to a psychopath, that's all they need to see, to follow him forever, or until his perceived power wears off. When you can't feel other people's pain, you also can't feel your own pain. These people aren't just indifferent to the suffering they cause. They're caught off from the full experience of being human. And Trump knows exactly how to aim that emptiness at everyone he needs them to hate. They're not making a mistake about him. They know exactly who he is. He's the most powerful person in the room. And he hates the same people they hate. That's not a political opinion. That's a personality built for cruelty. And Trump built his entire cult just for them. 4. Everyday sadism. Trump's supporters don't cheer for policy. They cheer when other people feel pain. They cheered when Trump mocked at disabled reporter. They cheered when families were separated at the border. They cheered when Trump talked about roughing up protesters. They cheered when Trump promised to put his enemies in prison. The crowd isn't cheering despite the cruelty. They're cheering because of the cruelty. In 2013, psychologists Aaron Buckles and Delroy Paulus identified a fourth dark trait, which expanded the dark triad into the dark tetrad. They called it everyday sadism. Everyday sadism is the enjoyment of causing pain or humiliation to others. Sound familiar? The research on its origin is thinner than the other three traits. What we know is that it shares genetic roots with psychopathy and shows up early in childhood, whether they were born with the cruelty or the cruelty was modeled by their parents. The results are the same. They have a brain that finds pleasure in what other people find horrific. And when the cruelty escalates, they don't look away. They cheer louder for it. Buckles and Paulus also found that everyday sadism is the single strongest predictor of internet trolling. These aren't people who just argue online. They actively hunt for victims and enjoy every second of it. Now look at what a Trump rally actually is. It's not a policy event. It's 2 hours of watching people get mocked, threatened, and humiliated while crowd cheers. That's the product. That's what they paid to see. Everyday sadism is the one trait that predicts willingness to work for the opportunity to hurt someone. Not just when it's easy. To put in actual effort for the chance to hurt someone. When cruelty is the only thing that makes you feel powerful, you need more of it to feel the same effect every time. The targets have to get more vulnerable. The humiliation has to get more public. The suffering has to escalate, and it always does. That's not a political movement. That's an addiction. And Trump knows exactly what they came for. This is what the dark tetrad looks like when it finds a political home. 4 personality traits built by abuse. Drawn to cruelty, and organized around a man who delivers it on demand. They are a fringe minority of broken and damaged people. And the only reason they feel powerful is because they found a man willing to weaponize their cruelty. They think they have permission to be cruel, to be hateful, and they think that they're going to get away with it. They are wrong. Trump didn't build a political movement. He built an angry, rage-filled mob of cruel people. and he has been feeding that mob every single day since.